Have you seen the people that can do that?
No.
There was, I want to say it was on America's Got Talent. No, this guy came on America's Got Talent, and he was like taking requests from like the judges and stuff, and then he would say it backwards, and then he would replay it, and it sounded perfect.
Really?
Because it wasn't just like saying it backwards; it was even like the tone and everything was perfect. It was weird.
It wasn't a visual trick?
Could have been.
Okay.
Way to burst that bubble.
Well, I'm just saying, Cam and I have tried speaking in reverse.
It's freaking hard.
Oh, you guys are pros.
You actually learn how to kind of do it, though.
You do.
I'm just going to say Austin's good at bursting bubbles, so...
Glad to be back.
Welcome back, Chris.
And on that note, I want to welcome you guys into Five's a Crowd. And if you're new here, if we make you laugh during this episode, I challenge you to hit that subscribe down below. But today we're going to be talking about current events, things going on in the news, things going on in our lives. Just kind of hang out. The big headliner clearly being Sir Johnny Depp.
Oh, what a guy.
Yep.
What a guy. It's funny because I saw what's the hashtag trending about him right now? It's like
Justice for Johnny.
Justice for Johnny.
Justice for Gianni.
And I knew when I pitched the idea to talk about Johnny Depp to the crowd, I was like, well, I've already got 2 votes. So what do you other two say?
And I was like, who's Johnny?
Yeah, that was the best part. Who's Johnny? I've never heard of
I
this.
was like, what are you guys talking about?
Johnny
Johnny
Depp?
is a very common name.
Johnny Depp stick, dude.
You got to add the second part to it.
It is weird if you just call him Johnny.
Yeah, you're like, Justice for Johnny. I'm like, what the frick is Johnny?
I always thought it's when like you have actors who like go by, like say Anthony Hopkins. When you hear people call him Tony, and it's like, no,
like,
he's Anthony, Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Even if you say Tony Hopkins, you're like, ew, no.
Right? It's like saying like Thomas Cruise. What? No.
That's valid.
These are fun. What other ones are there?
Thomas Holland.
Ew. Thomas Hardy. Christopher Pratt.
No, that one
Is
works.
Vin
That
short
one
for
works.
anything on Vin Diesel?
Vin's a fake name.
Vincent Diesel.
Ew.
I hate it.
Jonathan Depp.
Dwayne Johnson. Ew. Oh.
Whoa.
I'm just kidding.
That's the rock to you.
Dude, I just have to say, I was editing the debate one again. And I think, was it the debate one or the Disney one? Where I showed you guys that anime video.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I never watch anime. The closest I get to that, and Austin's like, is wrestling. I just had to relive the joke because it made me laugh out loud in the middle of work. It was funny.
I love it so much. Before we jump into the headliners, though, is there anything you got going on in your guys' lives? Oh, by the way, I should mention names. We got Zach, Tony,
Hello.
Chris,
Hi, Rob.
and Cam.
What up?
And I'll be the host tonight. My name's Austin. So welcome to the crowd. But
Yes.
open table, open mic. Anything going on in your lives?
Scarlett had to get stitches.
What?
First stitches, huh?
What happened?
Is it your
She-
first stitches as a dad?
Yes.
Okay.
How'd it go?
It was surprisingly well, actually. So I got home last Friday, and we were just chilling in the front room, and she was just being her fun little self and like danced around the front room. She started spinning around, and she slipped and went face first into our entertainment center.
Oh.
And it's like no corners or anything. It's one of those,
Where it
you know,
just
those like
pops the stairs.
those like square like shelf things.
It's a her doll.
It's
Her doll.
It's the hurt doll. And yeah, so she hit like just the cross section area, just straight into it. She turns around screaming and she's blood running down her face. And I'm like, what? No, my baby. So I put her up, she's bleeding all over me. And like she was screaming for a minute, but then she kind of like after a few minutes, she calmed down and like she just had this like slit on her face and then it cuts inside. So we thought she like bit through her lip.
Oh.
So we took her to the emergency room, and as soon as we got to the emergency room, she was chill. And she was just talking and stuff and like looking around like, oh, fun.
Poking her tongue
She
through
was
her
more
lip.
she was more bothered that she had blood on her hand than like her face. She was like, blood. And then we're like, you're fine. And she started acting normal, and then like we went to the room, and they came in and like they used this water thing to see if it goes through the skin. to see if it was a hole, and luckily it wasn't. So she just cut the inside and then cut the outside, so they only had to do stitches on the outside. And we were worried how she would react, but they put some numbing cream on her, and then they gave her this like nasal spray that straight up just made her high, dude.
Just knocked her out, huh?
No, well, not even knocked her out. She was just like, huh?
You're over there. Can
Like,
I
she
get
just-
some of that?
Yeah. She just started like giggling uncontrollably and everything. And then when they came in to do the stitches, they like wrapped her in this blanket thing. So like bundled her up like a little burrito. And one of the nurses is like laying on top of her. And they just held a little like towel or something right here so she couldn't see. And the lady just did 2 stitches on her, and the whole time she was chill. She was like talking to them. She's like, nah, nah, nah. And she, like it would the towel like touched her face. She's like, my eye. And they like moved it, and they're like, shh, hold still. And she's like, okay. Like,
Okay.
and she took it all like a champ. I was on the verge of tears at one point. I was like, poor baby. But and then
man.
since then she's been fine. She'll just be like, my mouth.
That's crazy.
But then Saturday we were at my parents. No, Sunday we were at my parents' house. My brother and his kids showed up, and she ran to meet my niece, tripped, hit the freaking asphalt, busted the other side of her lip. Oh, luckily no stitches.
Dang.
But I'm just like, girl, I'm gonna wrap you in bubble wrap. I'm like, you gotta slow down. And she's like, I'm sorry, Daddy. And I'm like, no, don't be sorry. Just be careful.
She got
Yeah.
hair wrapped around her
But
finger.
she's
Yeah.
100%.
We had a similar situation with Micah. She was jumping on her bed, and then she went to jump on a teddy bear or something, and there was a corner of her bed against the wall that she met with her face. Totally like split her lip.
Yeah.
And it's nice having doctors in the family. We just send a
Yes.
picture, and he's like, no, that should be fine. It should close on its own. So I'm almost curious if you'd have been fine with just super glue, but I don't know.
They said they were going to decide on whether it'd be glue or stitches once they like washed it and stuff, and she decided to do stitches.
See that?
That.
Oh, go ahead.
I'll go. You started first.
That was Brindley. She was about Scarlett's age, I want to say, and we had a brick fireplace in our first home, and she fell backwards on a chair and hit the back of her head on it. Ooh. She started to cry, of course. I pick her up, and all of a sudden I can feel the warmth on my shirt. I'm like, oh, yep, there it is. And I was almost out the door, and then I was like, well, hang on. Head wounds bleed really bad. It's probably nothing. So I like kind of gave it a sec, calmed her down, took her into the bath, and like rinsed her hair out so I could find the actual cut. And I looked at it. I'm like, oh, it's kind of borderline. I probably better take her in just to be safe. So I took her to the clinic. They said the same exact thing. They're like, oh, it's close, but yeah, let's throw a couple staples in it. And so they did staples.
Oh, dang.
But the crazy thing is they just put this numbing cream on, and then it's literally like a miniature staple gun. They
Did it still take like 3 hours?
No,
Dude,
it was
ours
like
took 3 hours.
we were in and out, and then it was funny because then this was when Jenny was still working. We went from there to Jenny's work, and I had her, and I was like, do you want to show mommy the surprise? And Jenny's like, what's the surprise? I was like, look at her head. She's like, you did not get her first haircut. And I was like, no, it's not a haircut. I'm like,
Oh no, honey.
I'm like, look at her head. And then so she sees it. She's like, oh, why didn't you call me? And I'm like, that's why. I'm like, you would have lost your mind. I'm like, no.
We know.
Why are there shards of metal in my dog?
It would have been hilarious if they had to like shave. So it was just like a patch of hair missing.
It's like, did you give her her first haircut? Sort of.
Not very well.
What were you going to say, Zach?
Well, that reminded me too. So 2 things. With what happened to Brindley, that actually happened to my brother when we were young. I don't know how old I was, but they were all playing downstairs. We had an old fireplace, brick, all that stuff. And I guess the 3 of my brothers were playing, and my brother, he fell backwards or did something, smacked his head, but to the point where I guess he kept passing out. And so he would take like 5 steps and pass out. And then take and he was trying to go upstairs to tell my parents that he had gotten hurt. And so
Is it bad that in my head right now I hear the windows
Every 5 minutes.
And then as he comes back.
He hits the ground, it's like, dunk.
Blue screen of death, just bump.
All right, sorry.
No, so he's trying to get to my parents, but he honestly, like, he keeps passing out. And then finally my brother goes upstairs and was like, hey, there's something going on with Ben. Like, can you go check on him? And they're like, what? And he's like, he just keeps falling asleep. And my parents are like, what? So my dad goes downstairs. He finds him, if I remember right, he finds him like partly up the stairs, just sprawled out. And he was out again. And there was blood coming down the back of his neck onto his shirt. There was a trail of blood from the living room up the stairs. And my dad's like, what happened? He's like, well, we were playing and he hit his head on the brick and he just keeps falling asleep.
How old would you guess?
I would have guessed, so Ben probably about what, 3 or 4?
Oh, way young. Okay.
And then
Bubblegum.
yeah, so I mean, I only would have been like 1, and then my other brothers would have ranged from 6 and 8 or something like that. So
Blueberries.
That's what it is.
but
I always screw it up.
I was gonna
She's
say
fine. She has her toothpaste.
Katie's happened in this similar fashion. We were just running around playing, and I went and scared her because it was in our house we're in now, and we have that. It's a wall, just a little wall that separates our living room from our kitchen, but you can do a full circle around it. And so I was chasing her around, and I had come into the kitchen. I stopped, and she didn't know I was there, and I scared her, and she went to turn around and run, and she went to run down the hallway to her room. Ended up glancing her head off of a doorknob. Ooh. And next thing you know, she's crying and freaking out. And we're like, I don't know what happened. And next thing you know, blood starts trickling down the side of her head. Oh, yeah. She split it open. It needed like 5 or 6 stitches.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it was hard. But
That's crazy.
Alden, no stitches yet, luckily.
Right.
that surprises me.
Bryn's our only one so far.
He's careful.
But he's an adventurous little kid.
He is, but he's so careful.
Okay.
Yeah. When it happens, it's gonna happen big time.
He's saving it up for a big event.
The thing that terrifies or that I hate is Jude. When he gets hurt, he cries like he is truly hurt, and then it ends up being nothing.
Tell him
You're saying he's a pansy.
He basically he fell off the back of the couch the other day. We were playing this game where I was trying to catch him, and he went to like jump over the couch, and his foot went into the cushion, so he fell and hit the hard wood in a way.
He should play soccer.
He like started to scream, right? He started to scream, and I thought like, oh man, he came down on his wrist or something. Like I'm thinking, oh, this is it. This is a first broken bone. Nope, nothing at all. It's just
Really?
like, come on, kid.
Did you read it? I'll make you hurt more
Did
than
you
that.
read the story of the boy who cried wolf to him?
I need to.
You do.
Just the boy who
I
cried.
did that to Alden because he was complaining about something. And I was like, okay, you do this too many times. One day you're just going to be there, and I'm not going to come because you've done this so many times. It's the boy who cried
And that's
wolf.
how you lose your arm.
that's
Hey, that sort of
how
happened
Uncle
to me.
Jimmy got a limp for the rest of his life.
After my dog incident, my sister goes running into the house. Tony got bit by a dog. How bad is it? No, you probably should come see this. My
Half of your
face
face
is
is on
hamburger.
This is probably one you should check out.
Paige is our little bruiser, man. She takes some hits. She will fall, smack her head hard, and she'll just be like, ow, and then she'll cry, and then she's fine like 10 seconds later.
It's wild.
Like she even had a barrette in her hair the other day, and she yanked it out, and I'm not kidding you, there was like 15 hairs on the thing. Didn't even like flinch. She was like, it's like, oh my gosh, there's a ponytail in this thing.
It's how Scarlett is too. Like her legs look like old potatoes.
Yeah.
Just covered in bruises, and you're like, what the freak do you do all day?
I remember being first-time parents with Brinley. She had bruises all across her forehead constantly. And I remember we went for one of her checkups, and we were telling the doctor, we're like, we promise she just trips and falls and hits her head. And we're not like, and the doc was so cool. He's just like, don't worry. He's like, at this age, they're just top heavy. He's like, it's expected.
It just happens.
In other news,
wait. Do we still have any more?
Oh,
Alden had his first play date thing.
Play date?
Like the neighbors, like the neighbor kids came over and rang the doorbell and like, hey, is Alden here? Can he come play?
Cool.
I'm like, holy crap, my kid's growing up.
Really?
You have friends?
Yeah.
They still do that?
He's like, oh my gosh, he's growing up. No,
Like when
go
I was
home.
a kid.
You're like, he's only
He
growing
can't
up
play.
if I allow him to right
But
now.
it was weird because like
Let me see your ID, kid.
2 days ago, there's these kids that were just going up and down with scooters, and he's like, I'm just gonna go say hi. I'm like, okay, yeah, go for it. He's like, hi, I'm Alden. Bye. And ran away and like came home, and they came to come ask him to play today.
Yeah, you got to plant that seed. Just tell him
getting
your
older.
name. Leave him wanting more.
Is that
Yeah.
what it is? I'm Tony. Take off running. That's too.
Hey, what's your name?
Tony.
Ezekiel.
That's right. I'm gonna do that. I wonder if I ever did that as a kid. I'm Chris. Just took off running.
Probably, dude.
I probably did.
As a kid.
All of us, I guarantee.
This reminds me of a story in preschool.
How do you remember that far back?
right.
Yeah.
Well,
I
try to forget.
remember a little. I can see the house that it was at.
Yeah, I have like shadows of preschool, but I can't recall like specific memories.
well, I guess it's more so like I relive my memory through my parents telling the story.
Objection.
That makes sense.
Objection hearsay.
Objection. So apparently my mom picked me up
Lawyer.
from preschool and she was asking me the basic questions. You know, did you make any friends today? I'm like, yeah, made a friend. She's like, oh, did you get his name? I'm like, yeah, his name's Bastard. She's like, I don't think that's his name. I'm like, yeah, Mom. Yeah, his name's Bastard. He told me his name is Bastard. She's
The
like,
teacher kept calling him it.
okay. She's like, okay, that's his name. And so then the next day she followed me into class and she's like, excuse me, my son's been playing with someone in here. And what is his name? And she's like, is it that kid? You know, I don't know how she figured it out, but she's like, his name's Baxter. Oh, that makes sense.
Reminds me of Bruce Almighty. Evan Bastard. Baxter.
Goodness.
I've got some fun news to share.
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
We are officially
Uh-oh.
under contract for a new house.
Nice.
Nice.
Right on.
I'm excited.
Where?
Here in the city
Dope.
that we live.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
In Utah.
That's all I needed. That's
too
all.
much.
He's like, please don't make me commute.
Like,
Please.
yeah, I don't want to do it.
Is it
Please
the
don't
one
make-
that you were
It would be
originally
so horrible
going
for you to
No.
commute, wouldn't it?
Oh, it's a different
Yes, it
one.
would.
yeah.
It would.
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it?
I'm here more than you are.
I don't
okay?
care.
So
Tell us about. Yeah.
So kind of a fun story. Jess, so we were on the phone with our friend Bryce and Nellie Jergy. I don't know if you guys know.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were kind of talking to them about their situation and at the end of the conversation, he was like, my mother-in-law asked me, well, have you prayed a very specific prayer? Not just like a blunt prayer, just like a very specific prayer about your situation and you wanting a specific thing. And he's like, no. And so that night he prayed a very specific prayer and it ended up like coming to fruition. And so Jess was inspired by that and she
Nice.
prayed a very specific prayer.
Nice.
The very next day, a house was sent to us that hadn't we hadn't
Just
received.
showed up on your doorstep.
Well, like
Just
the,
add water.
Put it where you want it.
yeah, you plant the seed and it pops up a house. No, someone sent it to us, and so we were like, well, it ticks all the boxes, and so we set up a time to go check it out, and we get there. Jess loves it. I'm a little bit hesitant just because it's so fast. Like we were kind of planning to build a house, and it was going to be like months and months out where I could brainstorm and think about things and figure things out. And so I was just super skeptical, and we end up heading home. And then I just was like, okay, if we're going to put in an offer, I need to like go back to the property, really just kind of soak it in and figure things out. I go there and I'm hanging out there for 20, 30 minutes. And then the owner of the house shows up, and I go over, start talking to him. Things are going great. And he's, we're just, kind of just shooting the breeze. And he ends up breaking to me. He's like, well, I hate to break it to you, but the house is already under contract. And so I was like, oh man, like it literally listed that day.
Mm-hmm. Sounds about right.
And so I call Jess, and she's, immediately turns to tears because she fell in love with the place. And so I just tell the guy, I'm like, you know what? I know you're under contract, but if it happens to fall through, we'd love to be considered. And that was just like, if it happens, it happens. And at least gives me time to think about it. Well, the initial offer ends up falling through, and he writes me and he's like, hey, if you want it, it's yours.
Nice.
And in the conversation that we had at the house, sorry, I didn't mention this, but we kind of discussed how the basement would be perfect for a new studio. And so that brought up YouTube, and he ended up checking out our channels. He loves our channels. So, so if you're tuning in, you know who you are. Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate everything. But anyway, so then we start conversation about pricing and all this stuff and the fixes that need to happen. And anyway, we come to terms on a number, and I'm like, you know what? We ended up running numbers and all the fixes, and I'm just like, we can't make it work with the price you're asking. That's above our threshold right now. And so he's like, okay, well, we were already taking it off the market today to do these repairs to then relist it. And I'm like, well, what repairs are you looking to do? Because that might be what we're looking to repair already. And so he tells me, and I'm like, okay, that checks all these boxes of things we were going to plan to repair. Could you just take that off the price? Because you're going to pay for it anyway. And he's like, he just sends me one text. Yes. As in please take my offer. I don't want to do any of this. Just, yes, please take it.
That is the best thing ever.
And so
win-win.
Yeah.
Right.
So now we get to kind of pick out carpets and all that stuff and kind of factor it to how we want the house. And then, we're still going back and forth, and we actually end up negotiating them paying some of our closing costs. And they have just been an absolute joy to work with. And we're super pumped about our new house. And the studio is going to be about 3 times this size.
Yes.
Whoa. It's going to be huge.
So are we just going to have 3 sections? And we just move?
Yes. It's going to be massive.
I'm so excited about our new house.
It's very exciting. I'm freaking pumped, man.
So is this all just owner to owner? No realtors?
No, there are realtors.
Okay.
But
Gotta get their piece.
But the funny thing is they've done jack crap.
That's what it
him and
sounds
I.
like. So.
It's been him and I that have been literally back and forth, talking, discussing, negotiating the entire time. They're just kind of like in the background collecting cash,
watching money roll in.
Bunch of crap.
Yeah.
No kidding. Fire.
So, freeloaders.
Give them the old heave ho.
Yeah. Right.
Contracts.
So anyway.
Yo.
But
cool, man.
I'm ecstatic.
Nice.
We'll close as assuming everything goes according to plan. Because we've already had it inspected and all that stuff. We've already done due diligence. We should close the end of May.
Right on.
And then party on, Wayne.
Party on, Garth.
So it'll be fun.
The way the drum roll was coming in, I thought you were going to announce something else.
Yep, and that's why we always do. That's why I did it.
I mean, you just had a good weekend, so
Right.
you've told us how fertile Jess is. So I mean,
We had a great
You know what the
week.
purpose of that weekend was?
I was at the opposite end of the pool.
Oh man. Anyway, sorry. I had to
awesome.
share it.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
That's why I've been so tired, is because it's been
oh, I can imagine.
my heart and my mind has just been racing constantly the last week, and I just need to sleep. Because
Nice.
it's a big pill to freaking swallow,
Oh, yeah.
man.
Now you got to worry about moving. That's the.
I'm hoping it's not bad because it's not too far from here.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be too bad.
You're just going to realize how much crap you have.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what you're going to
Right?
realize.
But we'll have time.
So
it
you
won't be
know,
bad.
I've got a truck.
I got a truck.
He's got a truck.
My
got a
father-in-law
trailer.
has a truck.
My dad's got a truck.
He's got a flatbed
Can you guys all
trailer.
show up with flags?
I mean, I have access to a trailer as well. So
Awesome.
I do too. I got a couple.
Same.
So if you need
Busted
to borrow
out in
one.
a day.
Yeah.
Got the best friends ever.
All right.
That's all I'm hearing.
We don't need to rent none of those.
No, I was just
crap
gonna let you
cars.
borrow my
We got our own
truck.
stuff.
Oh, okay.
You borrow my truck.
yeah.
Who said
borrow my
anything about
truck
us
too.
being there?
Hey, even just letting me borrow stuff to get stuff done. That's great. That's fine by me.
No, we'll be there.
All right. So what current events, man? Let's talk about them.
Before we get into the
You were about to say what?
big one for tonight,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
have you guys ever heard of a guy named Jared Baum?
Nope.
No.
No, but you can't say that on a plane.
What did you have against Jared's?
He's got a bomb. Jared, bomb.
Let's just say this guy is an extremely big douchebag.
Oh.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
It's so funny. As soon as you said that name, I kind of. Sorry, go ahead.
Anyways,
Righteous.
he was just found guilty of first-degree murder
On what? What?
here in Utah.
For?
Oh.
So,
tell.
For murder.
He just said.
I get it.
Killing it at the flow rider.
So, 2 counts of aggravated murder, aggravated kidnapping, abuse of desecration of a human body.
What?
In the deaths of a 17 and an 18-year-old.
Oh.
This is heavy.
So,
Yeah. Why are we taking this turn, Zach?
because I never heard of this.
Jesus.
So this happened back in 2017.
Had nothing to do with
jeez.
that.
Yeah, he needed more of that.
Right.
These 2 kids, I can't remember, it's some central Utah area like Provo. Well, that's my.
Happy Valley area?
Well, that's where all the trials taking
Guess not.
place is in Provo. But it was like Twilla or somewhere.
Benjamin?
Anyways, somewhere down there. Anyways, so what happened is these 2 kids started dating, 17, 18-year-old. They're dating, all this stuff. They're having fun. They get in contact with this lady who is Jared Baum's girlfriend. And she had marijuana on her, all this stuff, offered them some marijuana. So they show up this lady's house, midnight, have some fun, smoke some marijuana, all this stuff, yada, yada, so on and so forth. Well, they end up leaving. And as they leave, this Jared guy comes walking in. And he's very, what's the word?
Charismatic.
No, doesn't like her being with other guys. Very jealous. The very jealous type. So he finds out that there was another guy in the home, and he starts flipping out on her and is like, why is this other guy here? Yada, yada. And he's like, all right, we need to go. Come here. Come with me. So she walks outside. She ends up seeing these 2 kids. They are already bound and gagged in the back of this Jeep. He saw them coming out of the house. He bound and gagged them, put them in the back of the Jeep. He ends up driving them down to a abandoned mine shaft on private property and ends up taking the guy out. His girlfriend is there, like puts her in front of everything, taking this guy out and ends up starting beating the living piss out of him, grabs a knife and just starts stabbing him just left and right. And then he turns to the girl and says, you didn't do anything wrong. I don't want you to suffer, and ends up slitting her throat. And then tossed him down the mine shaft.
What?
Yeah.
So 4 people?
2.
Wait, 2?
Just 2 kids.
What about his girlfriend?
His girlfriend witnessed it all. And she was trying to, they were working on keeping it quiet, hush, hush. And she finally couldn't. And she ended up going to the police about it. And she told them where the bodies were. The only reason they found the bodies is because somehow, well, not somehow, by the grace of God, their bodies fell onto a little small ledge about 100 feet down. If it would have not hit that ledge, it would have gone further. They would have never found the bodies.
Really?
Yeah.
Good.
My God.
There's some evil out there in the
So,
world.
and then they got tape of him talking to someone while he was in jail about how these kids missing, whatever. Yeah. Anyways, he was laughing about it while he was in jail.
The heck is wrong with people,
So
man?
yeah,
He just did it because he was jealous.
Yep. He did it because he was pissed off because they were inside the house with his girlfriend.
Oh, there's a little more going on than that if he's laughing about it.
Wow.
Jeez.
That's just the last, what is it, the straw that broke the camel's back, I guess?
Probably.
Right.
Probably.
Very weak
Other
back.
stuff happened,
Right.
but yeah, sorry to bring it to a heavy place.
Wow.
But
I'm going
I
home.
literally
I wasn't prepared for that.
I read about this last week and I asked my dad, I was like, where did this come from? He's like, you have not heard about this? I was like, no.
I can't even find the dude on freaking Google. You type
this
in
an April
bomb and it
Fool's?
just
Jared
gives you a
Baum.
lot of other stuff.
Is it
Is it
JERRODBAUM.
Yeah, you got to remember it's Utah spelling.
Oh, yeah.
Jared
It's
Baum.
spelled like Gerard.
Gerard
Baum.
Baum.
Oh, he looks like a tool.
Jeez.
Dang.
I just came across a news headline that's kind of interesting.
That's crazy.
On the topic of the whole Florida Disney rivalry right
Dude,
now.
that is crazy epic.
dude.
Yeah.
Freaking DeSantis.
Yeah, it says
that guy.
the Florida House of Representatives on Thursday gave final passage to a bill that would dissolve Walt Disney World's private government.
Right.
Yeah,
Basically,
private government?
No,
Right.
well, it gets rid of their government
They wrote
tax
their own
write-offs,
tax.
basically.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
They wrote their own tax law.
Yeah, back in like the 60s.
Right.
Wow.
And it's been held up to today, but
I hope-
DeSantis is like, none of that crap.
I hope
that?
like it's a win for
Wearing
the
a Disney shirt, you know?
it's a win
Sell
for
out.
the governor. You just got back.
Okay, just because I enjoyed it doesn't mean I liked it.
Yes, it does.
that's not how any of this works.
That's not how any of this works.
But no, I was gonna say, I'm just curious because it was saying that Walt Disney World has made Orlando one of the biggest tourist attractions in the world.
Right.
I just hope that it doesn't come back to bite the governor's butt
got-
later.
How is it gonna?
I
Well,
don't
just
think
like
it
if it kills tourism,
There's
to
so
a
much
state.
tourism
Oh,
There's
there.
too much
well,
tourism
nothing's
down
gonna
in Florida.
happen. Nothing's gonna happen.
That's
Like they're not
true.
gonna close it. It's
Hey.
basically they're gonna have to pay like $200 million
In
like
annual
a month?
taxes.
or annually. Yeah.
Yeah, so what
So
they're
Florida's
going to
gonna
do...
get more money
Yeah, and what Disney's going to do is they're just going to hike the prices of their tickets.
again.
Again.
Like they did
Jess and I
last
were
time,
talking about
and
this
the time
last
before that.
night, and it makes me so mad that they're multi-billion. I mean, is Disney a $1 trillion company?
It would easily
Yeah.
I
say.
don't know if it is yet. I'll
I mean,
check it out.
across all the,
Yes.
they have to be a
They
$1
have
trillion
to be.
company. It's
If
just
not,
the,
they're close.
the parent company may not be, but across all their assets, they have
Well,
to
I mean,
be easy.
Lucasfilms was $300 billion. I mean, so
Yeah,
you
it
got
has to
Marvel.
be.
you've got-
Currently, Walt Disney Company's market cap is $221 billion.
What?
That's
There's
a
no
bunch
way.
of
That
garbage.
doesn't make any...
Oh, dude, you got to think though. They spend a crap ton of money too. It
Yes.
costs $5.4 million to run Disneyland per day.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. They have so many umbrella companies that I would be willing to bet that they are a multi-trillion-dollar company. It's just disseminated.
I mean,
Yeah, but I mean that. Yeah,
Are they
'Cause
MSN? They own MSN too? Or
They own
one of them?
dude,
they
have
own
you-
MSNBC, they own ABC,
Yeah.
they own Marvel, they own LucasArts.
Have you seen all the businesses that Disney
Pixar.
owns?
yeah.
Have you?
I mean,
Oh yeah,
I haven't seen a
but even
list
the
of
ones
them.
that you didn't think,
Dude,
were
the-
anyway related.
There's like 400 companies on this one list of things that Disney owns. It's unreal. Things you would never
Crazy.
guess.
well, I mean, you look at Disney Plus. They alone are just probably paying for Disneyland.
Oh,
I
more.
mean, if not more than that, they're probably
Yeah.
paying for Disneyland and Disney World on just Disney Plus.
Just think how many
profit alone.
Disney subscriptions there are to Disney Plus at what, $13 a month?
Well, depending, it's,
there's like
it's either 8 or 13 depending on what package
All
you
right.
have. But
But yeah.
let's say average of $10.
I mean, what do you think? 100 million people?
times 10?
See, they have.
Yeah.
They also have chunks of other ones. Like they have 80% of ESPN. They have Touchstone. They have 50% of A&E. They have 50% of the History Channel. 50% of
gosh.
Lifetime. Pixar, Hollywood Records, 10% of Vice Media, Core
National
Publishing,
Geographic. right?
Yep. Nat Geo's theirs now.
Dude, it's so big.
Fox.
Their list is huge.
Star Wars, the Muppets,
I thought you weren't supposed to be able to have monopolies.
Grey's Anatomy, apparently.
Hey, Simpsons predicted this.
Did they?
They did.
Right? No.
I
That
can't
Disney
remember.
would own everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's.
So that was my conversation with Jess last night. Is it pisses me off that these huge companies can have all this land and these giant attractions, and yet taxpayers' dollars are generally the ones paying for it, for the upkeep and all that stuff.
Right.
And then like they're getting no kickback. Like instead of that money going in, because like he said, they're their own governing place, so they weren't getting taxed.
Yeah, they had. It
I
says
thought
they had a self-governing status.
Right.
I thought locals do get a discount.
Well, I mean,
Well, locals
tickets,
get a
but I mean,
discount
like they're
on
not getting
tickets.
kickback to like taxes to going into education and
Yeah, the roads aren't better because
I see what you're
Disneyland's there.
saying.
You know.
Their
You don't even
discount's
wanna-
only like $50.
You don't even want to get me started on taxes.
But so I mean,
Lulu
similar thing when you go into sports, right? So for prime example,
Right.
they have said Denver is probably going to need a new stadium in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Denver's owner Pat Bolin passed away, got handed out to his kids, and now the kids are selling it. Well, they've been trying to sell it for the last few years. Anyway,
Wait, is this the Broncos or the Nuggets?
the Broncos.
Okay.
And so now they've actually found a suitor who wants to purchase the Broncos. It turns out to be one of the Waltons, who is worth $70 billion, and to buy the Broncos is $6. So
Pocket change.
yeah, pocket change. But in the next 10 years, when they need a new stadium, he's not going to front the cash.
No.
They're going to put it on the taxpayer's dollar,
Right.
and they're going to make it an attraction that's going to benefit the city. And instead, when he could just, oh yeah, you need $1 billion here.
Yep.
He wouldn't even notice it missing from his bank account.
Yep.
there's a simple solution. You just get rid of income tax and you just do a sales tax. Just a flat out sales tax on everything.
Guess who owns GoPro
Disney.
Disney. Do they?
and Sphero?
That's why I got a YoPro from China.
They probably own that too. Honestly, they have a giant chunk of Chinese holdings.
Bamboozled.
Not to mention they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Been
7, 8, 9,
bamboozled.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 property companies.
I think that's becoming a problem too.
BlackRock?
What was that? One more time.
I didn't say it.
I saw a concerning thing where it was
Hulu?
like headlines are, they do own Hulu
They
because
do
of
own
ESPN.
Right.
Anyway, so which there you go. There's the illusion of choice. You want Hulu or do you want Disney Plus? Oh, guess what? They're the same effing company.
That's why. That's why you can
I'll
get them in a
find it.
package now. Disney, ESPN Plus, and Hulu,
And
for
Showtime.
$13 a month.
And Showtime. No, that's Paramount and Showtime now.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Which is owned by Comcast.
Camcast.
Sorry, the point I was making is I saw a tweet and it was like everyone's focusing on Elon Musk wanting to purchase Twitter, and
Right.
no one's paying attention to how much land Bill Gates is buying.
Yeah, all the farmland he's buying.
he's purchasing a
Specifically.
ton of farmland.
Is there a
Which is-
reason behind it?
He's a psycho.
Oh, okay.
If you want to
Well,
go
think about
put
it.
on your foil hat.
If
Hold
you
on.
control all the farmland, you literally
You
you
control
have control
America.
of our food.
You control the food source, you control the people.
It's not a good idea for anyone to control
I
all
agree.
the farmland.
I agree.
It makes
So-
you wonder. I
Why do you
feel
think
like
property
these
tax
farmers
goes up?
are like stubborn men, women.
used to be.
but
They are. But
so
their kids aren't.
Yeah,
Well, so
their
it
kids
makes
aren't
me-
that inherited it. They're like,
yeah.
if I could get rid of this for 100 million, sure, yes, please.
But if it's the original owner and Gates is still able to come in, it just makes you wonder what he's offering for it.
A lot. But they also build subdivisions around farmland because it increases property tax on the farmland too.
Yeah.
So then you just get these farmers out because they can't keep paying property taxes. They raise property tax. That's why the green belt's so important. It locks you into a certain rate for your property tax. But anyways, I hate the government.
You need to shrink it down, all right? Stay in your lane.
Gelatinous.
Get out of mine.
Right.
Did you guys see that Mike Tyson sucker punched the hell
I
out of
watched
some
that
guy?
video. Holy crap. Did you see how annoying that kid was being,
Yeah.
though?
See, and
I watched the video and I didn't realize it was recent stuff.
Everyone had the plan.
maybe controversial, but I mean, I feel like the kid deserved it.
He learned a very valuable lesson.
What was he doing? I was trying to see in the video what he was doing to Mike Tyson. What was he doing?
He was just like behind him, like top.
like just poking
Just
at him. Or,
antagonizing
It was
him
almost
and-
like, think of, you know, those old nature shows. Think of like Steve Irwin, who he's like, oh, here we have a poisonous snake. It's almost like he was doing that. Like he was right behind him narrating about how he was next to Mike Tyson and he was trying to talk to Mike Tyson, to his friend who was filming him.
And there looked like one point where he was trying to talk to him and Mike Tyson wasn't paying any attention. Because then he turned to his buddy and I believe he said something to the point of like, oh, we're just mere mortals over here. Just peasants. We're just the peasants over here. It's just loud enough so Mike Tyson can hear it. And I'm like, yeah, man, you are. Like, leave the man alone. Like,
just because he doesn't want to talk to you doesn't mean he thinks he's above you.
yeah. Well,
It's
I mean,
until he's physically
Just means
above
he thinks
you.
you're beneath him.
It's like, you're right. It's like the young lion picking on the lion, just sitting there in the shade until it gets to a point where it just gets him, and then he puts him in his place.
it's the same thing. My brother-in-law, when this few years ago, he was in SeaWorld and Rob Schneider was there. And they sat down for lunch and he saw a few tables over. Rob Schneider was there. And all these people kept coming up to him like, hey, can you sign this? Like, hey, nice to meet you. Can I take a picture with you? And like at one point, like Rob was trying to be nice. My brother-in-law, he's like, I was going to go over there, but he's like, I kind of saw his attitude and his demeanor. So I stayed away. And he's like, sure enough, he's like, after a couple people, he finally was like, listen, guys, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm with my family. Like, leave me the hell alone. Like, back off. You know, I get it, but I'm with my family and my kids, and that's what I want to do today. So stop. See you later.
It's a hard thing because, like, they put themselves into that situation.
Exactly.
But no one prepares them for that situation.
Exactly. But you should still be considerate that they're human beings.
Exactly. Just trying to live their day. And granted, if it was The Rock, I wouldn't even care.
You'd be licking him.
You'd pull out your little baby oil out of your pocket and like,
I brought this. I've been holding this just for you.
I would be.
it's anointing oil.
Excuse me,
Let me
be one of
bless
those
this tricep.
annoying fans. Yes.
Mr. The Rock.
I fantasized about this day.
Do you prefer Mr. Rock or just the?
Maybe Dwayne. Or how about the
gosh.
Johnson?
I hope, and I don't know this, but like, you know how when you're on a cruise ship, you're out under, it's basically like ungoverned area, right? Like, because you're out in the open sea.
International waters.
Yeah, that's the word.
Great.
I wonder if there's something similar for airplanes. So like if Mike Tyson turned around and sucker punched that guy, which he
International-
did, it's like, sorry, man, you're not in governed
That would be
space.
kind of cool.
International air.
Or I hope that if it does go to trial and the judge is just like, dude, you don't poke a bear.
Especially a heavyweight champion bear.
Well, I
Like,
think
you
of
learned
the
a very-
Hangover when he knocks out Zach Galifianakis and he's like, dude, he's still got it.
Yeah.
Well, I think we talked about this, but he fought not too long ago. I think it was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Dude was terrifying in the ring, even
He
at his
probably
age.
keeps himself like very
Well,
fit.
he wasn't for a very long time. And then when they started negotiating this fight, then he got back into the swing of
Well,
things.
he wasn't gonna be shown up.
He turned back into an animal.
Yeah, he turned back into an animal. He's terrifying.
Right.
He was wild.
You know, speaking of celebrities or meeting them, my cousin got to meet Johnny Depp one time. It was when he was here in Wendover filming Pirates 3, the scene on the salt flats.
Oh, yeah.
But my cousin, he's not one to like be up to date with celebs and just pop culture or anything like that. And he was working security at one of the hotels, and he gets a phone call and he's like, "Hey, we need you to come upstairs and help escort this guy out." And so he's thinking maybe just a drunk, someone just kind of fooling around. So he's like, okay, whatever. So he goes up and they're helping get his luggage and stuff. They get into the elevator and my cousin goes to hit just the lobby floor. And they're like, no, we need to go down to the basement and out the back. And he's like, well, why? And his coworkers are like, you don't recognize him? And he's like, he kind of turns because he's standing behind him. And so he kind of turns and he just reaches out and goes, hi, I'm Johnny. Puts his hand out for a handshake and Just like, oh my gosh.
Your cousin's a
Johnny would have been
like, oh,
Never
Johnny,
washing this hand again.
Johnny Rockets? Who are you?
oh yeah, dude, I like your burgers.
cousin's a dick.
Perfect segue. Let's jump on into Johnny Depp.
Okay.
Well, to start it off, I will say he said in his case that's going on right now that he will never return to Pirates of the Caribbean.
It's unfortunate. Is it because of what Disney did to him, though?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So and he said it on the set. He said it under oath.
Yes.
But he will. The freaking defense attorney was like, so even for $300 million and 100 alpacas, I don't know the joke behind that, but he's like, you wouldn't go back to film another Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and he's like, no,
Right.
Yeah.
not after
Honestly,
all that.
300 M's.
300 million and 100 million alpacas.
Alpacas.
Crazy.
Is there a thing with alpacas? Do you like alpacas?
I don't know.
I don't know about alpacas.
See, here's my frustrating thing about all this is, Johnny's going through all this scrutiny, all this stuff, but yet Amber Heard gets to walk away just scot-free.
Well,
She's still in these Aquaman movies, and everybody else has pulled their scripts with Johnny Depp. Like,
Yeah.
he lost out on the Harry,
Fantastic
the
Beasts.
Fantastic Beasts,
Well, that's why he's
Like-
fighting back.
which is good. He
Right.
needs to, but I just think it's a bunch of BS that,
From what I understand, this is all centered around the op-ed that Amber Heard wrote for, I think it was
Washington Post.
Right.
about domestic abuse, and she didn't name him, but everything in it clearly points to him.
yeah.
100%.
Right.
She's like, use me as an example or something like of domestic abuse. And like, we're not trying to make light of domestic abuse.
No, it's a big deal, but
I don't know.
But
It's so frustrating.
It was the other way around.
have you listened to the
wasn't
video?
it?
Have you listened to the audio tapes?
I think I have, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it
was a while ago, but
Yeah.
Well, there's...
She took a crap on his side of the bed.
Is that proven?
Yes, she admitted it.
It was the dog.
She did. She said it was the dog.
I know. They're little Yorkies. And he's like, I've cleaned up their messes, but he goes, this was not the dog's messes.
This was the fecal matter.
This is human fecal matter.
It was
And
not,
he's so calm the whole
he
time.
says, he's like, I've picked up their fun before.
Oh, that's what it was.
It's not.
That's not what this is.
Oh, man.
Dude, she took a dump on the bed right after they had a fight. And she hit him.
Dude, she sounds insane.
Well, she kicked the door into his face, and then he
Like,
got up.
even,
and then,
when it goes
this is
into
only-
her, even like pre-marriage, like I guess this is how she's always been. And he straight up admits he would have to kind of drink and take different drugs and stuff just to escape. He would lock himself in the bathroom just to get away.
Well, he said she put on a front at first, like she was like everything that he ever hoped for.
Right.
They had
Of
the
course.
same
He
interests,
was
and then
truly in love with
and
her.
he said the moment that he realized it started changing is whenever he'd get home, he'd go sit on the couch and she'd take off his boots and give him a glass of wine. And she was on the phone and he came and sat on the couch, took off his boots by himself, and she's like, "What are you doing? That's my job." Like, and freaked out on him because she was supposed to take off his boots. He's like, and that's when it all went downhill. He's like, that's when I started realizing there was issues.
when he couldn't do anything right.
Right. Well, the defense attorney too is trying to like make him a liar with like these stupid comments that he's saying. He's like, "No, I'm not saying that." He's like, "Did you say this? Did I read that accurate?" He's like, "Yeah, you did." He just
Right.
like, yeah. I don't know.
The
What
part
was
that
the
broke my heart is like when he goes into his childhood and how he was abused by was it his mother?
Right.
As a child. And so he's like, why on earth would I do that to anybody just because we're fighting?
Well, he
Like,
said, he goes, I use them as good examples of everything that they did. I will do the exact opposite of.
yeah.
Well, his dad would just sit and take it too. And so he's like, I don't want to. He goes, I think that's why I took it for so long, is because I watched my dad take it.
Well, and hasn't his previous girlfriends and spouses and stuff like that, haven't they stuck up for him as well? Like,
I don't know.
I want to say there's something in there. One or two of them or something like that have stuck up for him, and it was like, he wouldn't hurt a fly. Like, he never touched me, never did anything. Yeah, we had our disagreements and stuff, but he wouldn't do any of that.
I mean, he does like his drugs. I found that out in the trials. Like they keep trying to.
Well, no, but he did say he's been clean now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but he's like, they're like, was this your cocaine? And this and that. He's like, yeah, it was. Did you party with Marilyn Manson?
He's tried just about everything under the sun.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, can you look at any
I was gonna say, go
Hollywood
talk to-
movie star and assume they didn't do any
I
drugs?
guarantee you, go talk to at least maybe 50% of Hollywood actors probably have done stuff that he's done.
I can understand it should have been like,
experimenting.
you've heard of Hollywood, right?
But I'm just saying, they're trying to. What was it?
Well, they're trying to defame him.
Defame him or
Which
whatever.
is the whole purpose of the
Defame
he's
his
suing
character.
Amber Heard for defamation.
Yeah, defamation, there we go.
They're trying, defamate his character, but he's just like, I did drugs. I do drugs. Angels.
What is happening? No, we're not talking about the definition of a bad girl. I've never even heard of that song.
Shaylee's gonna look at your history and be like, "What is this?"
Did you find out the definition?
So when you say no, would you like to show me?
Yeah.
The only person that isn't dirty in Hollywood is Dwayne Johnson. He hasn't even touched steroids.
Right.
That's what they say.
Stay on target.
I know what's in his head.
Stay on target.
I didn't say anything.
You're right. He hasn't since he's been in Hollywood.
That's my guy.
The thing I think is kind of interesting, kind of on the Disney thing, how he said he's willing to turn down $300 million and all this stuff. He's suing her for $50 million, which in our lives is a ton of money, but in their lives it isn't.
It's like $50,000.
It's not that much, really, and especially for everything that he's lost out on, that he's only asking for the 50.
Oh yeah.
And then I was even seeing this thing that it's like the guy is Oscar worthy and he's been nominated, but he's never won. And he said he doesn't want to win because that signifies that it's a competition, and it's not. And I thought that was kind of admirable.
The going back on Disney and like them basically disbanding him, like kicking him out of the, working with him. And maybe this is just me, but man, I feel like Disney is so spineless in sticking up for their own actors and people that they have signed.
Oh yeah.
Because the same thing happened.
Toronto.
Well, same thing happened with James Gunn, right? Like he was the director of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
Yep.
And a tweet from like 10
10
plus
years.
years ago surfaced, and they were like, nope. And they just cut ties with him like that.
Doesn't fit the narrative.
Everyone that he was immediately working with all stuck up for him. But Disney was like, nope, sorry. Don't want any of this beef.
Gina
Right.
Carano.
And it's
Same thing.
yeah, and it's so funny is like they're trying to avoid controversy, but they do stuff that's way worse.
Right.
Like they straight up
Like the
shot
whole
the
Florida
movie
thing.
Mulan in the region where slavery is happening today.
Really?
In China, yes. And that was the Yaojing province. They have Uyghur Muslims in like train cars in concentration camps. Like,
oh my gosh.
like in
That's a
slavery
myth.
and stuff. And it's all happening in the same place they filmed the movie. And they knew about it.
Right.
Like this wasn't new news.
No way.
Yeah, dude, they do all this stuff that's way sketchier than what the actor supposedly did 12 years ago.
Holy cow.
So here's my frustration with it is when companies do that. I mean, I get why they do it. It's they want to separate yourself from any bad publicity or anything that might come with it. But at the same time, it's like,
But innocent until proven guilty.
exactly,
Yeah.
and that's so. Just to throw this into character or whatever, there was this wrestler who just got fired from WWE because his ex-girlfriend or whatnot accused him of being abusive. And she actually posted this thing on Twitter, like, because they had just won the tag team championships and stuff like that. Like, great tag team. They've been around for years. And she was like, so glad that you guys can, WWE, you can support these guys and pay these guys out and give them championship gold when one half of this tag team is abusing women out there. She took a picture of her face and all this stuff. But apparently this had happened like a year or two ago, but she's finally coming out with it. Well, WWE the next day immediately fired that guy, fired the other guy in the tag team. said, sorry, see you later. And it's like, well, I get it. You want to separate yourself from the situation, but at the same time, it's like, what happens when everything turns around? Like, for instance, with Johnny Depp, or even in this situation where if he fights it, what happens to turn around when they're innocent?
They get sued.
Now
They
you
get
can turn
sued
around.
or they don't sign a $300 million contract with
They
you to
say-
further.
Yeah.
We're sorry privately.
Oops,
I mean,
just kidding.
Can these companies like Disney, for instance, like, you don't have to fire Johnny Depp from it or walk away from it, but you can honestly lay low a little bit and say, listen, do your thing.
It's like just suspend him or
Yeah.
like
Well,
I
if
don't
they
know.
should do what the NFL does. Deshaun Watson, he wasn't fired. He wasn't kicked out of the NFL, but he just didn't play.
Exactly.
Until
Yeah.
he was proven
It's like
innocent.
pending an investigation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
They're
And,
going to be
you know,
benched.
Disney. Yeah, you know, Johnny Depp won't be in any Disney movies or any more pirate movies until pending investigation. We want him to go take care of himself in this situation, and then, depending the outcome, we will finalize anything from that point on.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything
I just
bad.
hate that there's a thing like cancel culture where
I hate it,
people
too.
It's
like
garbage.
marketing and like businesses are so terrified of it. It's like, dude, just don't pay any mind to them.
Speaking of that, please like and
Chappelle.
subscribe.
You know what I mean though? Like
Right,
cancel culture
exactly.
is garbage.
It
It's
is.
it's a cancer on society.
it is.
And they try to say that that Johnny lost out on the Disney contract because of his own choices and his behavior and things like that. That it had nothing to do with the Amber Heard deal.
I call
It's
it
like,
BS.
but I mean, look at Robert Downey Jr. I mean, that guy was in and out of drugs and prison and all kinds of stuff, and yet he lands the Iron Man role. And so it's like, no, any celebrity out there is going to probably be doing some drugs, drinking, maybe making a scene here and there, but that's not the reason he lost out on it. It's like, if that's the case, no actor anywhere would ever get a job.
It's a big coincidence that right then and there, that's when they
Right.
decided, yeah.
And I mean, I think of an old passage in the New Testament where Jesus looks upon the adulterous woman and says, "He who is without sin, let him first cast the stone."
Yeah.
And it's like nobody hears that anymore.
Yeah.
It's true.
Nobody has a leg to stand on to point fingers at anyone else.
I'm pretty awesome. Just kidding.
True.
I mean, you are pretty awesome. but-
As much as I don't agree with some of the content that Netflix has released, at least they stand by what they believe in.
Right.
And that's admirable for a media company.
They're also tanking in stock because they
Yes,
lost
they
over
are.
200,000 subscribers.
well, because
Do the same to Disney.
it's because of this whole new password thing.
Yeah.
Well,
You
it's-
want to
it's-
charge everybody like $20 a month for a semi-good streaming service.
Well, and
And-
yeah, they're trying to make you now pay for the people who are using your Netflix but not in your house, which is something they used to promote themselves.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They used to tell you to
sharing
do it.
your password is low.
Yeah,
or love is
sharing-
sharing your password.
Yeah.
And all they're trying to do, they're trying to just pull more money out of the people they already have because they can't break into a new market because they're not doing enough with their new material.
But they're canceling shows left and right.
They're canceling shows and they're making garbage shows.
yeah.
Yep.
Remember that whole cuties thing?
Yeah.
Like they're making absolute disgusting crap that people should probably go to jail for.
Yes.
I don't even
There's-
know what that is.
So the
I never-
Cuties episode, Cutie, I don't know, is it a series or
It
a
was a,
movie?
show-
it was a
yeah.
series
It enraged
of
me
like
when I heard
of
about
like
it.
a like
It was basically
Like 9 to
sexual,
12-year-olds.
sexualizing young
Oh,
kids
yeah.
in like a cheer group or something.
yeah, they were like
that.
on stage like doing provocative,
Was
disgusting
it
stuff.
what's the word I'm looking for? Like reality type
Yeah.
stuff. It was like
a
real
documentary.
I don't think it was a reality thing. I think it was a
Was it
movie or a
actors and-
series.
No,
Yeah.
I thought it was a documentary.
Yeah. It was a documentary type
you sure?
series.
That's part of why it was so gross because
Yeah.
because you think about it and
I
you're
thought-
like, how could they film this?
Pull it up because I'm fairly certain it was a series about like a girl finding herself,
like a
or something.
mockumentary.
I don't know.
or
I thought it
something?
was just a series, but
I was
all
gonna
I
say, thought
saw
it
was
a documentary.
highlight clips from a YouTuber that shared his enragement over it, and that was enough for me to be like pissed.
It was a French show. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a French coming of age drama film written by written directed by that person whose name is real hard to say.
But yeah, it's basically got 9 to 13-year-olds basically grinding, humping, and
Yes,
twerking
exactly.
on each other.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh gosh.
They were a twerking dance crew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it made a French girl, a Senegalese French girl with traditional Muslim upbringing was caught between traditional Muslim values and internet culture. So it was her like basically breaking away from her family and their religious views and becoming this twerking. It's nasty.
Like all I saw was a tiny highlight reel, and it enraged me. I seriously was so pissed off about it.
Not enough. Like,
Indoctrinate.
Probably like
indoctrinating,
TV 14 or whatever
right.
it is.
Like it should have never ever made it to TV.
On the
And the people who filmed it should be arrested.
On the flip side of Netflix, though, I thought, aren't they like writing contracts with big actors and stuff? Like Ryan Reynolds, for example, he's putting out a handful of Netflix movies.
They've got a big contract with Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler's a big one.
Yeah, Adam Sandler's not allowed to work with any other media company right
That's
now.
the reason. I mean, granted, it's probably no loss, but that's the reason. I guess they were planning on doing a
Grown Ups 3.
Grown Ups 3.
What do you mean no loss, bud?
That's a huge loss.
Second
Oh,
one
it's
was
going to be a
horrible.
fantastic movie.
Second
I
one-
I don't think
remember
that was
liking
actually
it.
a thing. That was just David Spade saying he would do it.
I think there was plans somewhere, but they can't do it because that's a Sony. It's under Sony's or something
underneath
like
Sony.
that.
Sorry, to switch
But-
gears back onto Johnny Depp. I don't know much about the case other than it's kind of like he said, she said about.
That's all
That's
it's
hearsay?
been.
But I mean, like, is there any sort of like timeline or like, is there any sort of
I
like?
have one, actually.
Do you?
Hey!
So before I start on that, I was actually going to go and mention that I guess I kind of put out a double negative about how we first started out. And I said, I'm a little pissed off that Amber Heard still gets to act and everything like that. But I guess that's props to WB, as we talked about, innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
That is kind of props to WB and Warner Brothers allowing
Yeah.
Amber Heard to still do her Aquaman and all that stuff until I just hope that if it is proven that she is guilty and that she is the abuser in the relationship,
They do the same.
I'm hoping they do the same to her, that they're like, no,
Yes, it's all
Peace
about.
out.
It's about proof.
yeah.
Double standard.
yeah.
Getting
Have
rid of the
some
double
standards.
standards.
And that's where I get, that's where the double negative is, because
They just need to
Johnny
hurry-
Depp should continue his
Hurry
acting
and prove
career.
it before Aquaman 2 comes out.
Well, they've already filmed it, so.
Before it comes out.
Oh, okay.
That way she doesn't get any of the money.
They can edit her out.
They did it with Black Widow.
That's true.
They did.
That's true.
Sort of. I don't know.
The funny thing is, I didn't even know who Amber Heard was or what she looked like. I had to look at her up.
I
actually had a
was
pretty big crush on her.
same.
She was hot.
in the beginning, same.
We don't say that.
And then I found out
She was very cute.
Well, all this stuff started happening around
She's pretty.
beautiful.
She's pretty.
2011 is when the end of 2011 is when they began dating.
Yeah, it was after they filmed The Rum Diary. They met on the set of The Rum
Lies
Diary.
the
Okay.
rum gun.
That's a funny movie, by the
The
way.
Rum Diary?
Yeah,
I've
it's a
not
good
seen it.
But then they got married in 2015. And
Divorced
they got
after a
married in
year.
2015, they got divorced after a year. So Amber Heard reportedly arrived to court with a bruised face after filing for divorce from Johnny Depp on May 23rd, 2016. She claims that he threw an iPhone at her. The judge grants her a temporary restraining order against Depp after she made a domestic abuse complaint on May 21st. However, LAPD spokesperson states that their investigation into the May 21st claim bore no evidence of a crime. During this month, Heard also provides court filings that allege that the Fantastic Beasts actor... I always find it weird that in articles they do that. They're like, the Fantastic
tie
Beasts
plug.
actor who was once in Pirates of the Caribbean and also had scissors for hands, like just say
know
Johnny
why?
Depp.
It's because they're trying to push down those paragraphs so they can insert more ads.
Yep, exactly. Like more keywords.
She's like greatest actor of all time. That's all I have
Goat
to-
for short.
But yeah, so she started basically saying that he was doing all this stuff. He was abusive. There were all kinds of issues. I remember there was some issue in what was it? They were in, was it Italy?
Australia.
Was it Australia?
When they were fighting.
Yeah, and people were like neighbors were talking about it and things that were going on.
There was one in Australia. That's where his finger got taken off or whatever. She was throwing
that's
bottles.
the one.
She was throwing bottles at him, vodka bottles.
She like
Oh, okay.
She, like,
yeah.
His finger.
cut his finger,
She cut his finger off with the bottle. Threw it at him.
Jeez.
and he then like proceeded to like write messages on her mirrors and her lampshade with like blood and paint. So I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like it's hard to be blameless when you're in any kind of obviously like domestic argument or anything.
I'm not necessarily saying he's like 100% innocent. Like I'm sure he screamed and yelled and did his thing, but
more so
like,
maybe not. He's not necessarily the instigator.
or he didn't beat her. I don't.
Yeah.
think.
He didn't. Yeah.
I don't think
there was
he
any
would've.
like actual law broken, so to speak. I think it was just a married couple having their issues.
Well, we know
but-
she hit him.
Well, yeah, and threw pots at him and threw a bunch of stuff at him, and then she's like, "You hit me," in one of the video or in one of the audios, and he's like, "I pushed you so I could get away from you." She's like, "You're running from your problems," and he's like,
Yes, I am running from you.
"He's like, I'm yeah." He goes, "I don't want to get in a physical altercation with you. I'm sick of the physical altercations," and he's all calm the whole time.
You know, can I also just say that good on him for actually coming out and saying this? It's hard for a guy to come out and say that he was physically abused by his wife. Because, I mean...
Yeah. Well, I mean, she started it, so he's like, "Oh, you really want to know the story, huh?"
And it's,
Let's
yeah,
tell the
I mean,
story.
she did start it all, but at the same time, it's like a lot of guys don't do that. I mean,
Right.
a lot of people look down on guys like, oh, you let your wife beat you up. Whoa, you know?
Well, he says he's doing it for his children because they're hearing all this stuff about their dad. Like their dad did all this horrible stuff. He goes, "I'm trying to clear my name for my children." He goes, and the people who I've tried to give like advice and everything to. He goes, "I'm trying to clear my name." He goes, "Because I don't want him to think I'm a fake person from what I've told him to do and what I've told my children to do." So that's
Because
why
I mean,
he says
he's
he's doing
been
it.
like people have been calling him wife beater and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
For a couple years because of all this. It said, in 2018, there was the Washington Post op-ed that sets off a series of lawsuits and countersuits that still persist. Amber Heard wrote the op-ed basically calling him out as, domestic abuser and the perpetrator of abuse and not the victim of it, which then ultimately he got dropped from Pirates. He got dropped from Fantastic Beasts and all that good stuff. And then, currently it's now finally to the trial of the actual. So he's suing her for defamation. She's countersuing for something, but I haven't figured out what.
Just countersuing.
She's countersuing for
Well,
counters.
when they finally got divorced, she was awarded $7 million.
Yeah. That's actually
it's not
too
much.
bad.
Hey, think about Mr.
Well,
Bezos.
yeah. It's true.
Jeffrey Bezos.
Was there a
Lex
prenup?
Luthor's cousin.
She's literally isn't his ex-wife the wealthiest woman in the world?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't know if she still is
She
because
played the
she's
stock market well.
well, she's
no, she got divorced and got all the money.
yeah, that's
he
the
was
joke.
the stock market.
Exactly.
Oh right. Okay. I get
She
it.
played the game very well.
I'm sheepish.
I don't know if she's still the richest though because it keeps giving it away.
Right.
Dude, I would
I haven't seen any
I would
of
blank check the crap out of that every day of my life. Remember that movie Blank Check?
I love that movie.
He got $1 million. Do you realize that could not have bought all the crap he had?
it. Back then.
Back then, it probably
Even
could
back
have.
then, dude, that house
Dude,
Right?
that house was probably like 150K back then.
had to be like 200K.
No. It's out in the country.
Love how the bank teller looks at him and goes, "Juice? No thanks, I'm not thirsty. No thanks, I'm not thirsty." All right, and it just starts handing him the money.
I like that there was just a giant vault in the wall full of cash.
Full of cash. Yeah, right.
Like right behind him, he's like, "Oh yeah, here you go, kid."
I have not seen that movie in forever. I need to
I was
rewatch it.
gonna say I
Oh,
can't remember it very well.
I remember
either.
everything about that movie. It was one
remember
of
a
my
lot.
favorite movies growing up.
Isn't that on
I-
Disney Plus?
Yes, it is.
I don't know.
Yes,
I really
maybe.
liked
It is.
Richie Rich growing up.
That one I remember.
Yes,
Oh,
only the
that
one
you
with
rich.
Macaulay Culkin.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Is that
Did they
Macaulay
make
Culkin?
other
Yeah.
ones?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they made maybe like 2 more, I think.
So.
That's too bad.
Right?
Well, dude, it's
I can't look at that guy the same way Macaulay Culkin.
he's
I
a
had
little
an
creepy now.
ex-girlfriend who had me watch like a Party Monster movie. I was like, ooh, this is weird.
Yeah.
I had to walk away from it.
Oh, it is Macaulay Culkin. Oh, whoa. That's the other kid? Yeah, that would
Also,
Yeah, that one.
all right.
Oh man.
I
feel
do
for him.
want everybody on the chat threads out there and everything who is going to say, what
got
Tony
it,
said
Ron.
about Johnny Depp being the GOAT actor. About, if you're going to say that Johnny Depp is a horrible actor and he sucks, well, guess what? Your opinion doesn't matter.
Just
He
like
is the
ours
best
doesn't.
actor and he is good. So you keep your opinion to yourself.
Don't you dare
Unless
hurt
you think
Zach's
he's
feelings.
great.
Your opinion's only valid if it's the same as
point
ours.
with him is just
Remember
name
this
another actor with
cancel
that
thing?
kind of versatility.
All of them.
There's
Quite
clearly
a few.
like a lot of people might say Leo is one of the greatest actors, right?
Yeah.
But what is his
He's good.
range really? Like I know he's got it. He's
The
got
dude-
range, but he doesn't do it.
What's his name? The guy that plays
In or what's
Jim Gordon in
Gary Oldman.
Yes.
That guy's phenomenal.
He's
is
got
great.
a range.
He's
dude.
got a
he's
range.
probably between him and Johnny, that is a range
who's
right
old
there.
Xavier too?
Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Stewart.
Right? No, not Patrick Stewart.
Or
Old.
young Xavier.
Oh,
Young
sorry.
Xavier.
Young Xavier.
Oh,
James
McAvoy.
McAvoy.
McAvoy's good.
He's fantastic.
Yeah.
He showed he has a really good range.
With me and
in-
Johnny Depp,
it's Split.
He's
Split.
more dark. He's more of a dark actor.
Yes.
He I mean, even as Jack, he's funny in Jack Sparrow though. As Jack
I
Sparrow,
was gonna say he's got kind of it all. Like I know he probably gets kind of the hit and miss fans because he works primarily with Tim Burton, who is definitely an acquired taste. But
He is also the best director out there. So.
That's not even accurate at all.
That is very much
Not even
accurate.
remotely
Yes,
close.
it is.
but it's like you think of his stuff outside of that, like when he did Black Mass, and you couldn't even recognize
oh my
it,
gosh, such a good
I haven't
movie.
seen that.
or Public
Ooh,
Enemies,
Public Enemies.
Secret
see that.
Window.
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, but he's
Secret
still dark.
Window.
He's still
Oh,
dark.
those
in
are dark, yeah. But I can't
But he was
name
more of
any
a
of the
normal-
lighter stuff because it's Tim Burton
He was
stuff.
He was
Right.
more of a normal person,
Like
though.
Charlie and the
Right,
Chocolate
okay, yeah.
Factory and Alice in Wonderland. Those are light and
He's
fun.
still
but they're-
creepy.
Like he wasn't-
He's still creepy. in
Exactly. He
those.
didn't play in the other movies. He didn't play such a weirdo.
Okay, see,
he's
like,
a good weirdo. okay?
yeah, that's
so like
good.
the Rum Diary, then, for
I haven't
example,
seen that. I'll have to watch it.
or some of his older stuff, like What's Eating Gilbert Grape,
Oh,
or
that
He's
was a good
depressing
one.
in that one.
or Chocolat.
He's depressing in that one.
About Nightmare on Elm Street.
Then
Dark and
no, never mind.
depressing.
Just kept thinking of the wrong person.
Lots of gore.
He's a smoothie in that one.
Is he? Oh yeah,
Yeah, like actually,
literally.
He gets blended. He
Oh,
gets
yeah.
blended.
Oh yeah.
Well, I couldn't find the comment, but there was someone that made a comment, funny, about how we spoke previously in episodes about how most of our content becomes demonetized, and they mentioned how even though you guys have views opposing to mine, I still appreciate and love your show.
Oh, I saw that
that's
comment.
what we want.
Yes.
Yes.
Being able to enjoy the conversation, listen to opposing sides, and just know that we're human. So, you know,
Yeah.
I wanted to give a shout out, but I couldn't find the comment fast enough.
I
I don't
actually
know where it
remember
was.
reading that one too.
You
Yeah,
just
it was
gotta-
actually great.
You just got to remember that even if we're not with you, it doesn't mean we're against you.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that, people. Everyone's black or white today. It's you're with us or you're against us, and it's like I'm not with you, but I'm not opposing you either. Like
Right.
I'm just living my life.
Unless you say you hate Johnny Depp or Tim Burton, then I'm not with you.
I've heard this.
It means he's not with this half of the table.
You talk with somebody long enough, you're going to find more in common than you do have against
It's
each other.
very true.
That's,
Exactly.
That's just the way it is.
So-
And I think actually our
like
debate night was a perfect example of the miscommunications. Because remember when we were arguing with Zach about wrestling,
Like you do
Yes.
every night.
and we
yes.
finally actually came to the actual point that we're arguing and the miscommunication of what we mean when we're saying fake and not fake.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yeah.
It was the perfect. You'll
It
have to
was.
listen to it. It was the perfect.
That's right. You were
there.
there. Yeah, you'll have to. It was actually really
Like,
good.
and that's the root of the problem is everyone's always arguing, but they don't actually know what they're arguing about. They're just yelling.
Yeah.
You know, and I can
good to be
honestly say,
back.
like, to even put it out there, like with Chris, Like, honestly, like if me and you just met and, you know, the type of stuff that you do compared to the type of stuff that I do.
Right.
Like, we're two totally different people.
Yes.
But the more we got to know each other, the
Right.
more we found in common. We actually get along really well.
Not just that, we can appreciate each other.
Exactly.
You know?
And I mean, that's the thing is if you're going to look someone up and down just by their cover.
Right.
Well, and
not
the
doing
beauty
any justice.
and the beauty behind it is you might have a different perspective on something that sheds light onto something that opens his eyes to something else.
That's true. Agreed, yeah. Well, my thing too, I used to be bad at first impressions. Like I'd always, first impressions, if I didn't like somebody, I was like, I'm done. And I had to really soul search about that. So, I mean, we all learn, right?
Yeah.
We all learn.
I found it.
Oh, you found it? Give him a shout out. Who was that?
So, how do you say that?
Macmodium?
Macmotium?
Macmodium?
Macmotuium.
Macmodium.
Macmodium?
It's not eum though.
Spell it.
It's
Macmodium.
so MACMOTUIM.
Macmodem.
Macmodum.
Sure.
Macmotuum.
That one.
But no, go ahead and read what it says.
So he said, she, I don't know if it's male or female. Love you guys. I would love to know why exactly you get demonetized. Y'all def some views I disagree with, but nothing like evil or intentionally misleading as far as I can tell. I don't know if they tell you guys why or why not, but it would be interesting. By the way, the seasonal tired joke, I nearly died of laughter.
What was that?
I love that joke. Gosh, what was it? We were talking about seasoning.
We made the
about
joke
Cam,
about...
you're the
No.
people who light the tires on fire.
No, we were talking about the ship that went down with all the cars in it. And I jokingly, which by the way, it was a joke. There was another comments about how salt water doesn't put out fire. I clearly know salt water puts out fire, but I jokingly said it doesn't. And then we got on the topic of the salt damaging the cars and the tires, and then the salt and the seasoning, and then
And all seasoned
all
tires.
seasoned tires. So
I mean, if you guys haven't figured it out by now, we are like 90% jokes,
Yes.
10%
Exactly.
moral.
we speak fluent sarcasm.
Yes.
Very fluent,
100%.
and we all understand each other pretty well.
Right.
But as far as the demonetization goes, it can be anything. It could be a topic. It can be our language. It can be
It could be like how I mentioned earlier about the death of those two people.
exactly.
I mean-
There's really no rhyme or reason as
Yeah,
to
Zach
what
got this
demonetizes
episode
us.
demonetized. So
They might
You're
just
welcome.
disagree with us and demonetize us.
You never know.
Here's the thing that I find weird about all of that. Because this, I mean, with the demonetization, this also goes back to like firing actors before they're proven guilty, that kind of thing. Like, I mean, I've never watched a movie, saw an actor that did something bad and thought, oh, this movie promotes that bad thing that actor did.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen an ad on a video and thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe Root Insurance is promoting this. Like
Like Will Smith. Like everybody's like,
Yeah.
oh, they need to get rid of his movies.
Yeah.
Why?
Like, why?
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me that you can't, like, have things be in the same place but not be associated.
Right.
Exactly.
I don't freaking get it.
Yeah, it makes no sense, but it is what it is, and you know that's just our cross to bear.
I mean, look
Yeah.
at this might be a terrible example, but this popped into my head. Do you remember?
let's go
I love
there.
it when you smile before you start talking.
this right here will be what gets us demonetized.
The thing is this isn't that bad. This
the
isn't that
moment?
bad. I promise. Do you remember the movie Super Size Me?
Yeah.
Where the guy eats nothing but McDonald's
Yeah.
and he
actually a really
he
good
like
documentary
shows
movie.
how terrible it's messing up his body.
Yeah, thanks to that douche, I can't get supersized anymore.
That for not even for a second made me go, I'm not going to eat McDonald's anymore. I'm like, nah, I'm going to go grab something.
Right? It made you hungry.
And so
Can I get a supersize? And they're like, we don't do that. What?
Subliminal advertisement.
Yeah,
Oh, dude, he almost had liver failure.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it
Well,
wrecked him.
The issue is he was very much like vegan and all that stuff.
So
and
it's a
then
shock to his body.
Yeah, it was.
Have you seen it?
Like he
It's really
Basically,
good.
he has to. Is it 30 days?
yeah,
Yeah,
30
a whole
days.
month.
He eats nothing but McDonald's for
Breakfast,
a whole
lunch,
month.
and
So
dinner.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then if they asked him, "Would you like to supersize that?" He has to say yes.
Yeah.
And he has to try everything on the menu at least once.
Yep.
And did he have to eat all of it?
No,
I mean,
Okay.
he ate it until he was full.
eat as much as you
but-
can. There were some times where he started puking before he could finish.
Put on a bunch of weight.
But then he
almost
would
went
go
into
to like
liver
he would go
failure.
to like weekly doctor's appointments, and by the end of the month, 1 month, and you could just see the sick in this guy. It was crazy.
How old was he?
He's like in his early
Probably
30s.
30s
Is that
at
when
the
they
time.
filmed it? Was
So I watched. I
His
mean, I
name was
watched it in
Morgan-
high school.
Morgan something. I can't remember his name.
Middle-aged adult, I guess.
I think
Yeah.
so, yeah.
But honestly, I mean, you do that with any fast food, it's going to
Well,
eat you up.
but that was the point, is because
Not
they
Subway.
were at that time they were claiming that it was super healthy for you. I think that movie also led to all the fast food restaurants having to show their nutrition facts.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Well, and also didn't like he could
That's
also
good.
eat the salads, right? Couldn't he like order a salad or I don't know?
Does McDonald's sell
They
salads?
used
They
to.
used to.
They used to up
Yeah, they
until
used to have those McShakers. Those were the best thing in the world. McSalad shakers.
well, they got rid of it. Well, I don't know why they exactly
Nobody
they
goes
got
to
rid of them.
McDonald's for
But
salad.
I did for those. They were
Sorry.
amazing.
I'm sorry.
Anyways,
no, you're good. But COVID, like I don't know what it did, but it made them stop selling certain items, and
Yeah.
salads
They
were
supply chain stuff.
yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
And Michelle Obama. Just kidding. I
all
don't-
that to
No,
say,
she ruined lunches. in
she
school.
ruined the school lunches. Is what she did.
I want my peanut butter fingers back.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, those were phenomenal. Weren't they?
Dude.
My grandma's got the recipe. You want it?
Yes.
Dude, that's like
That's
asking
like
if
gold.
The Holy Grail.
you're like in the back alley with a trench coat on. Hey, you want
Would you like to buy a sundial?
you want school lunch
hamburger
peanut butter
gravy?
bars?
Their hamburger gravy was good.
They always served it with green
all
beans.
right, enough talking about food.
Yes.
I'm getting hungry over here. But
All right.
all that to say, huge thanks to all of you tuning in,
Yes,
and
thank you.
especially if you're supporting us monetarily. You
That's
guys are
awesome.
our livelihood. You guys are our beating heart, our blood that circulates here. So thank you very much
Love it.
for supporting us. And
And at the end of the day, thank you for being you.
yeah, we love you.
Yes.
Unless you're a douche.
If they're douches, they're not listening to us.
Or they're
out
listening
there.
to us to bitch about something. Or
Actually,
goes the
no,
demonetized.
I got it. If they're a douche, they've stopped listening by now, and they're already making their comments.
Yep. Oh, yep.
I can
So
hear
if you're
those
still
keyboards
listening
clicking.
at this point, you're awesome.
If you watch the whole video before making a comment, you are supreme.
What's a word we can have them type down below to let them know that we
If you made it this far.
yeah.
Safe word.
Rigorous?
Rigorous.
It's just right in front of me.
Okeechobee.
Okeechobee's my favorite one. Or Sheboygan.
Sheboygan.
Any of those three will work.
All right, let us know down in the comments if you're still here tuning in. And again, thank you so much. We love you. We thank you, and we'll see you guys here next week.
Thanks for being
See
part of
ya.
this crowd,
Ciao.
guys.
Bye.